Okay, fifth grade, once you have your drawing all complete, you can go ahead and take your cup out of the bag. You should have your bottom with your first name, last name, class code on it. The nice part about doing this last week is that it did give it a chance to dry just a little bit, so it shouldn't be so flimsy. So this should actually help us when transferring our picture. The last time we did a picture transfer was in third grade when we took our flat flower pattern and we drew it on a flat surface. Now that you guys are in fifth grade, it's time for a little harder of a challenge, and we're going to try doing it on something that is more three-dimensional, which means that if you are pushing too hard on the clay, you are going to collapse your cup. So this is definitely something that's going to take a little bit of finesse. You're not going to be able to go fast and push hard. So for those of you that are used to racing through projects, you might run into a few problems trying to do this, but remember, if this is your first one, don't worry about mistakes. Just keep moving forward. You will be making a second one. I don't grade the first one. I only grade the second one. The clay should be wet enough to place your paper on top, and it should hold it fairly well for you. There are lots of different tools that we're going to talk about that you can be using for this part of the project, and you'll just have to kind of see which one works best for you. The first one that I always recommend is just our drawing tool. This is the wooden one that looks like a wooden pencil. It just has no graphite. This is the tool that we used in third grade. So if you had a lot of luck transferring your drawing with this during our Takashi Murakami project, you might want to use this one again. Again, holding it straight up and down, you're probably going to tear the paper quite a bit. So when we're drawing with clay, you want to use the side of the tip instead of the very tip, and you just gently want to go over your entire drawing. When you take it off, it's going to be very light. You're not going to see everything in this really great, clear, concise drawing. You're going to have to do a little guesswork, but this is much easier than trying to freehand a design on a piece of ceramic. So if you're finding that this tool is ripping your paper too much, you can go ahead and try this one. There's two ends. There's this big round end that we use for tooling, but the other end I found very helpful for tracing over your design. And the reason why I like this particular tool is because it doesn't have a point. There's no sharp point, so you don't have to worry as much about tearing your paper. The downside to this one is that it's much thicker of a line than this one. So for any of you that have very small details, this tool might be a little challenging for you. If drawing with pressure is really hard and it's just not working for you, and when you pull the paper up you can't see, your last option would be the metal tool. And this is a really good tool if you want to just poke gently through the paper and make your design with little holes. The problem with this is you don't want to poke all the way through your cup, or you're just going to have a whole bunch of tiny holes. So before I go and finish this, I kind of want to show you what each one of those looks like. So again, the one that's easiest to see is the hole pokes. You can see where the leaf pattern is, but again, it's really thick. And then the faint one is the tool that we used in third grade. I like this one because I know that I can come back over it and make my drawing darker after I am completely done. So go ahead, start experimenting, figuring out which tool is going to work for you. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish mine off. I'm going to use this tool. Good luck. So you don't have to worry too much about your paper. The paper is going to be garbage. It's going to be very wet. You could see that towards the end, the water from the clay really started to soak through and it really started tearing this up. The idea behind this kind of transfer isn't to get a perfect transfer. There's other ways and other techniques that we could use to get a perfect transfer. This is just kind of a way to stencil on your idea because most of the work is going to happen now after we take the paper off. So now that I have my stencil drawing on, again, it's not super easy to see, but I'm going to keep my drawing in front of me so that way anything that I have questions on, I can look down. Again, even if it's hard to see, this is still better than if you would have just taken your tool and started to draw freehand. Plus, we used the technique of the transfer to make sure that our image was symmetrical, both sides being the same. So once you have just that light drawing on there, now the paper is gone, it should be much easier to make each one of those grooves just a little bit darker. Just like in third grade, if you get any of those particles getting up and messing with you, I call them the clay boogers, you can go ahead and just wipe them off onto your table and we'll clean those up later. But again, right here, this is where you're really going to get your definition from. So already I can see that part of my nose a lot better than I could before. So don't fret if it didn't work out perfectly. This second part is what's really going to make your face pop. All right, you guys, once you finish, we are done with, if this is your first one, we're done with the first one. If it's your second one, we're done with the second one. If you have time, go ahead and try and get all these little clay boogers off your project. Otherwise, it does not need to go into the bag anymore. Double check, make sure your first name, last name, and code are on the bottom. This can just go in the back room or on the cart to dry for the remaining time. The next time you'll see these guys, we'll go ahead and put some color on them. Congratulations and good job.